Well, we select our houseplants. Usually in the fall, people buy large, what I call power plants, and they soften up the corners, which is a great idea. They add oxygen. There are many benefits, of course, to having tropical plants as houseplants. But of course, as we can see here, some of them are really too big. The sable palm that we're looking at here at Fairchild Gardens is 100 feet tall. Your ceilings can't be that tall. However, I think if you got a 10-foot ceiling, a lot of the plants that do grow very tall can be part of your interior landscape for a while. However, there are plants more suited than the palms, for instance. The pinnate and the fantail are very beautiful plants, but they too get rather large. Now, the Madagascar blue fantail palm that we're looking at here is a good candidate, but it's going to grow very wide. And of course, coconut palms, I mean, by definition, you have to know that anything that has a fruit that large is not going to produce coconuts in your living room, unless you are coconuts. Here we see another pinnate, and we see bromeliads. Now, those are good plants for houseplants. They grow oftentimes in the wild, in tropical areas, on other trees. So they require very little care. I mean, any tree that could grow on top, parasitic actually, is another fantail palm. I mean, obviously, that would be a plant that requires very little care. That is the bromeliads. Bird of paradise is a very beautiful plant. Usually blooms in the fall, and it takes a cooler temperature in the fall to bring the flower, very much like the succulents that we find in dry conditions. Because when we think of tropical, we think of wet conditions. But don't make the mistake of giving it a lot of water in the wintertime. They oftentimes will go dormant in the winter, although they still look good. And so excess watering will rot the roots. So that's something that you don't want to do. Here we see a marantha. Praying mantis is one of the maranthas that is very popular. It can be 3-4 feet tall. It can be 18, 24 inches. And that is a very popular houseplant for tables, and coffee tables, and stools, and the like. So think about the ultimate height in nature, and you'll be well guided in your selection for tropical plants in particular. Here we see some ferns. That might be the mother fern. See some schefflera. A lot of people grow schefflera, but with not very good results because oftentimes they're trying to water it. And that's another plant, excuse me. And ficus is another one that requires very little water in the wintertime as a houseplant. Here we see, and by the way, most houseplants, although they're grown here at Fairchild and other botanical gardens, are not native. So think about that too. You have to assimilate their natural condition. Of course, tropical will tell you that it needs a lot of water in the summertime, but not necessarily indoors in the wintertime. And I don't recommend hardly any fertilizer at all, especially in the wintertime for these tropical plants. So be concerned, take note, and you'll find that you'll do very well with your houseplants if you pick the right ones.